Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Regrowth, where we're bringing this cool, dead, desolate world back to life, one block at a time. So I have been oh so busy. Check this out. We've got our ME system all up and running. But you'll notice I'm actually in creative. I was just doing this to Sky mentioned that, oh, everyone always just sets it all up without ever showing how they do it. So I thought it'd be funny. So anyway, this is an exact copy of the world that I was in when I last recorded. However, I've done some stuff to kind of help explain what I know of the AE mod, and especially with the ME system. So we're going to go over that. I don't know why I had to sleep. As you can see, I just got wires all over the place. And this is hooking into the system. So let's just talk a little bit about AE, or the ME storage system. So first thing is these blocks here, the controller blocks, you can have them go up to a 7x7x7. But if you try any further than that, you get an error. As you can see, it turns red. Also, if you try and fill it all in, and I'm not exactly sure what the logic behind this is, but if you try and fill it in too much, you start getting these gray blocks, which are dead. And I'm not 100% sure what that's all about, but I mean, the rest of this ME system still seems to work, but these guys aren't doing anything. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure why. I mean, it almost seems something like if there's only two sides available for connecting. I don't know. So that's the one thing I don't know about. Now, if we do this one totally dies because it has no power. But anyway, you can have your system this big. I don't know what the advantage is, but here you can also see you can also just have a straight line, but as soon as you add an eighth block there, it turns off. You could, make it too high. We might even try a little block here. So you can see it you just have to kind of experiment with this, but I'm not 100% sure about this guy, and I haven't really took too much time to try and research it. I could probably find something if I tried. I can make a big old eye, maybe. Eye. Whatever. So anyway, that's the controller block. Now, the one thing about the controller block is each side of this controller block can output 32 channels. Now, when we use our little glass cable, it's really kind of hard to tell exactly how many channels are going through it because it's just a little glass cable. However, we also have these smart cables, which you can actually see the channels that are going through it. And we'll go over that in just a minute. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And then we have these ginormous ones, the dense cables, which you can have 32 channels go through it, which means basically in the same thing you'll see little lights in here, and each light you see will be actually 4 channels. So that means this caps out at 32 channels. So we could go 32 out this side, 32 out the top, and 32 out that side. But then of course this one's taken and that one's taken. So hopefully that makes a little sense. Let's now talk about how you set up the system. So basically, to set up an ME system, you just need this, and you need some kind of storage device. So if we came, we already have that guy. So let's say, we could have the simplest storage device would be something like, an ME chest. So, and then of course I need the power. Where's that creative power one? Right here. Boop. Here we go. So if we simply took this guy, put in our ME controller, and then a disk drive, then of course we need a disk. So let's grab a disk real quick. Let's do that. Grab a disk. Oh, I already had one. this is a working ME system. Now, it's not a very good ME system because we have no interface for it, and that's why we have these different types of terminals. We have the crafting terminal, which is the one I usually use, and I don't think you can actually like put this directly on there. No, it faces in if you do that. So it does want to be put on one of the cable types. So you could put it here on this cable type, and actually, you know what? Let's do it this way real quick. Just to kind of show you, we'll just grab that blue one, and we'll grab one of these guys. I just grabbed the regular ones on those. But like if we came off this guy right here, added in the big cable, you'll notice that here you cannot attach your ME interface. Doesn't work. However, with the smart cable, you are able to attach it, and also with the Fluix cable, or just the glass cable, you're able to attach it as well. So there you go. And then of course this, because I cloned that drive right there, which has some stuff in it, which if you mouse over you can see we have 12 of 63 types. The nice thing about that is those 12 things is, you know, they can be multiple stacks and stuff. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and like of wood we have this. So it's not like, ooh, 64 is one of those, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, this is a working ME system. And if you look at our smart cable, you can see we are using 2 channels. So here's one channel and here's the second channel. So there we go, 2 channels, and this guy will allow up to 32. So these guys only allow up to 8. So each one of these is 1, and then if you keep adding more, it draws little brighter lines inside those. And then once those are there, your ME system will break. So like if we, let's see, so that's 8 channel. So if we came up here and we stuck on 8 of these guys, how many is that, 7? So as you can see, we have 1 channel left, and as you can see, we can still access our system just fine, no issues at all. If we add 2 more, this will use up our last channel, and we can still access our system, but if we add this next one, our system breaks from that point on. So as you can see, we can see there, and that's because it doesn't have a channel that it can use itself. So like if we took this guy off and added back in our smart cable, as soon as it turns on, you'll see that now all channels are taken, and we can actually use this one again. We'll also notice that we're using 2 channels of our 32 channels. So like I said, each of these take 4. Alright, so let's just talk about this guy a little bit and some of the components. So we've already talked about the crafting terminal. We've talked about the controller. Now this is basically this guy on steroids. This can hold a single little 64K storage, where this guy can hold 10. Well, it can actually be multiple sizes on the storage. So 64 is the largest, but here you can see we can actually have 10 64K storages. So an immense amount, and you can actually even add another one on top of it and put storage in there and stuff. And it actually can quasi-connect through there, and you can actually have it go. I think I have an example of, oh yeah, over there. So we're good here. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to show really quick, is how you have your channels just a little bit. And as you can see here, we're using, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels, because we have one bright one, and it just goes all over the place into our different things. Now, how do we get it to talk to our things? Well, let's talk about this a little bit. So our inputs, if we're not using the disk storage, which is one place we can store stuff, as you can see here, we have an empty one, because it says 063 types, but we also have this thing called the storage bus, and the storage bus will allow you to access inventories that are not ME, right? They're not me. They're you. So anyway, if we look at this, we can see here we have 28 emerald, and we have 3 stacks of 64. So if we come into here, we can see we have, what is that, 192 and 28. So it's exactly what we said we have. Now we can also hook this up to our controller. We can hook these storage buses up to our drawer controller, and it will then know about all the drawers that are attached as long as the drawer controller knows about it. And we can also do something called priorities. So we can actually come in here, and you might think that putting all this stuff into our system, is it going to go to the disk drive? Is it going to go to the controller up here? Is it going to go to this controller? Is it going to go to the chest? Well, let's find out. Whoops, you can't click it in there. So we're putting this in our system. And as you can see, let's let it just sit for a second and see where everything goes. Actually, oh, I didn't configure this one. Everything went to this chest. Now, actually, I did do that on purpose. Why did everything go to the chest? Well, let's go look at these controllers real quick, or the buses. If you look here, we have diamond goes to this storage bus. Well, it didn't go to the storage bus on why. So we can look at priority. We can see priority is 10 on this guy. However, if we come over here, everything's set to come here. Emeralds, emerald blocks, and and diamonds. And its priority is set to 100. So that means this has the higher priority. So until this guy is completely full, everything's going to go here that is of this type. Now also, because this is 100, things that are not even in this list will try and go there before they go, say, to our disk drawer here, which has a priority of 0. So this would be the last place it's going to try and store things. And if we come over here, we can see this doesn't even have one. But if we wanted to say, make it so, I need a, do I have, oh, actually I do right here. So as you can see, this one, so there's two types. There's the ME terminal, which has just your access to this, and then there's also the crafting terminal, which we have here. So we go like that and grab that. We can actually see our stuff. So if we come in here and we said, for example, all right, well, we want this to have, oops, just one, a priority of 20, which means it's a higher priority, not higher than this. But this means that now if we turn down this priority to say like 5, so we just go in here and change it to 5, which is lower than everything else, right? Now if we put this stuff in, we'll see diamonds are coming over here. Now we don't control where the drawer puts it. Now if we, this is a whole different thing, but if we lock this drawer so that it only receives this type after receiving a diamond, then it'll only put diamonds in there until it's full, then it'll try and spread out. But if we come in here and we say, okay, let's do our emerald blocks, emerald blocks should actually go here because we have emeralds going up there, right? So if we go here, put our emeralds in, as you can see, we now have emeralds here. Now, one nice thing about this is because this has the compacting drawer, we actually have full access to all variants of our emeralds, right? And then of course our emerald blocks went in here because that is the next highest priority. So if we went in here and said, oh, but I also want emeralds to go in here, and if we wanted to grab, say, one of these guys and say we want those to go in here, now when we put those in, they will all go up there. So now we have more up there and none's in here. So this is really good for items that you want to limit, because here we can actually stick in a void. So like if we have some auto farm that's harvesting wheat, we can have the wheat going to a drawer, and then when the drawer fills up, instead of filling up this guy or that guy, it'll actually just start voiding it, right? So you might have noticed that it looks like there's a lot of space here, but there's really not. As you can see, there's just these 2 rows. Now, in order to open up these other rows, we cannot put things in these other rows at all. But if we want to open them up, what we need to do is put in a card. So here we have a capacity card, and we put these in, and you'll see when I put it in, it unlocks the next row. So by putting in all of these, we unlock all the rows. So now we could actually have this guy filtering quite a few things for our system, right? Now, of course, diamond, because it's just in here, you can't actually do the compressor. So, not the compressor, the compacting drawer. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you. If not, be sure to let me know, and I'll try and go into a little more detail for you. So the next thing we're going to talk about is more about the channels themselves. And we kind of went over the channels like right here, but I wanted to get just a little more in-depth into some of the stuff this guy does. Let's just get rid of this guy. We don't need him. No. Oh, his disc fell out. All right, so here, once again, we have our controller, and we have this guy here. Now, like I said, I don't know why you would want more than one of these, unless you wanted 32 multiple channels, because I mean, this is giving you, you got the power going in, which leaves you 5 sides that have 32 channels each. So I don't know why you'd want to block these that is a 4x4, other than it just gives you lots more channels, but it's really not that necessary. So here you can see we have, talking about channels, we have our dense cable here, and we have our, not dense cable, we have, this is just smart cable. So we have our smart cable over there, smart cable, and dense cable on this side. So this one's dense cable, right? No, that's smart. Oh, it's off of this side. So this one is our dense cable, yes. And as you can see, we're kind of doing the same thing. We have diamonds going into this. Since there are no diamond nuggets, it's not able to do it. And if we go up here, we don't actually have, I think I actually just put those in there just for a demo. But as you can see, this is what I wanted to show you is here we're using all of our channels eventually. So if we count these items that are on here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait, did I count wrong? We might have to go to the back so we can actually see all the connectors. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So as you can see, these have 3 things. Now, this is another thing I wanted to show is, this is, let's say we have this furnace here and we wanted to automate, every time we put wood in, we wanted to cook up. So here we have a export bus, and the way to think of this, it's exporting from the ME system. I know generally you would think you'd want import into this and export out of this, but it's actually opposite work. Exporting out of our ME system, and as you can see here, we have export coal, and here we have export iron, so it's going to pull iron and coal from our system. And then here's the import bus to import in our system, and anything this thing outputs will go into our system. So if we come over here to any of these little guys, and let's say we put in a stack of coal, you'll see the stack is immediately being taken away, and if we go over here, we'll see it's actually adding into there, so it's going to constantly be doing that. Then also, if we put in our iron, we'll see after a second it should start also going down. There we go. It's a little bit slower, and that's just because the furnace, but you'll actually see this furnace is going, and slowly it is doing that, and you'll see our iron is actually being pulled from the system and being added into our system over here. Now we don't have a place for it, so that iron is actually probably being put into our drawer. So as you can see, the 6995 up there, I think I saw it go down. That was the first time it had iron go in the system. So as you can see, this is going down, this one's going up, and everything is happy. So that's this side of the system. Now, one great thing is, even though we have this break between here, we can actually see all sides of this guy through our crafting terminals, right? So we can actually see our iron and stuff. Now, one thing I did here was I wanted to show another thing, another example of the import-export bus. So here we are importing, or exporting, sorry. We're exporting our certs crystal, and here we're just importing whatever comes out of this guy. Remember this guy when we had him up there? Yeah. I remember them because it was slow. So if we go into our system here and we say add these guys, 64 regular crystals, this is automatically going to start deducting them. I can't see if it's actually doing it at the moment. It should. And oh yeah, it is. So you can see here it is taking it, and it's a random amount of time. It got charged, and now it should put in a new one. So it's kind of automating that process for us. Over here, I also wanted to show that you know, we can actually take our big channel here and we can split it, and you can see over here we have at least 4 devices. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep, that's the 4 we have over there. Over here we definitely have at least 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and wait, did I count that wrong? Oh, actually, I said at least 8 because you don't see until you have another 4, another line. So here you can see we have another one. So I just wanted to kind of stack this guy up. Then we have this over here, but we're not talking about that right now. So let's just talk about some of these other things. So here you can see we have a disk controller. It's plugged in one here, but it actually goes to all of them, and you can actually see they all have power. They all have one disk, and they're green, which means they are empty or not a lot of stuff's in them. And then of course this guy also has a disk. So that guy's gonna plug away. Then over here, I don't know, I was just shoving things onto this. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is this guy right here. This is a wireless access point. And what this does is it allows you to have a wireless terminal, which I think I have. No, I don't have. So let's just go grab one. W-I-R-E-L-E-S. Wireless. And it's uppercase. I don't know if, oh, it'll still find it. Good. So there we go. Actually, I don't think I have anything. Do I have anything to charge it with? I don't know. Let's grab one that's charged. We're not learning how to charge things. I could put it in here, I bet. This is a creative energy cube. So you can actually take this thing. Let's just do one that's not charged. W-I-R-E-L-E-S-S. Wireless again. And I thought I hit caps lock. So there we go. We'll go ahead and just get rid of that one. So if we put this in, say our energy cell over here under plus, because we want to charge it, I guess this one would uncharge it. But you can see it's charging up. It actually holds a good amount of energy. I think, what was it, like, it was like a couple million maybe? And we're at 1 million right there, right? Yeah, that's 1 million. I think it's like almost 2 million. So 1,600,000. Now, if we go into this, it doesn't work right away. And you see it says device not linked. So for linking this device so that we can actually let it know that this is the network we want to connect it to, we actually have this security terminal on here, which is connected to this network. And what we can do is here you can actually create biometric cards, you know, and all kinds of stuff to secure your network so other people can't access it if they don't have a card in their inventory and such. Or actually, I guess it's biometric, so this learns what you are. But we're not going to go into that. What we're going to do is we're going to train this guy by putting it right there. And now you'll see this guy is now connected to our system. And we can see our stuff. We can pull stuff out of our system. We can put stuff in without being at a crafting terminal. Now, I don't know why, but this one, I could have swore there was one you put another thing. Maybe it's just this version of AE, but there's something that you put a little card in. Or actually, no, there's a crafting one of these. And I'm not sure why this one doesn't have the crafting one where we can actually tell it to craft. Or we can actually do our crafting like we can with these guys, where we have the crafting grid and we can go like this and say, okay, I want, whoops, wrong thing. So we could, for example, we could just do this and say boom, 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 and throw that in the system, 20, go ahead and make more, dun, dun, dun. And also it's good to note, you don't actually have to have many of these. As long as you have it in the system, it'll just keep doing it. And you can see it subtracting up there. So now that we have that, we could actually come in here and just make, okay, we want a chest, throw it in, chest, throw it in, chest, throw it in, whoops, throw it in, so on and so forth, and then put everything back in, or we can hit the little clear button. All right, so the next thing is this is all fine and dandy. It's a great storage system, but, you know, and maybe I don't want every time I stick in iron that it smelts up for whatever reason. Maybe I want to stick it in my smeltery and double it or something. And you can do stuff like that, but maybe you just don't want it to do it right off every single time. You want it to do it more on demand. That's where these guys back here come in. So over here you can see we have a coprocessor, we have the crafting storage, we have a monitor, and then we also have the molecular assembler. Now for smelting things, we don't necessarily need the molecular assembler. Like over here we actually have a smelter guy. Or actually no, we have the crusher guy over here, I forgot. So over here you can see, was this the one? Yes. Wait, I thought it was. Yeah, whatever. Oh, actually, no, I think I just saw it. Yes, right here. So here you can see we actually have some patterns. Now we're going to talk about those two. So that brings us to the ME pattern tool. And what this does is if you have a crafting recipe, you put the blank pattern in here. And let's say we want, well, let's say we want to have it automate making chests. So we don't want to have to always go like this whenever we want a chest. We just want it to actually do it. So what we do is switch this from processing, which would be smelting or processing things, and move it to crafting pattern. And as you can see, it shows us what we're going to get. So we can click on that and take it and actually have it, or we can click on this down arrow right here and it encodes us a pattern. Now you'll see it shows a chest. Now this isn't an actual chest, this is a pattern. So if we wanted to, say, make this chest, what we do is we come over here now, we get these ME interfaces, and as you can see we had one over there. We can take our chest. Now if we have lots of patterns and we don't know which one's which, we can hold shift and you can see it transforms into what the pattern is. So now we can take that, put it in there, and now if we come in here and we say, oh man, I would like a chest, we can switch our view, because right now this is well, actually we have 3, so it's not going to say craft. But as you can see right now our view is set to stored and craftable. Stored is what's already in the system, craftable is what you can make. So if we actually came over here, and this is only stored items, so you can see we don't have any chests. And if we came here, this is only craftable items, right? So we can craft Certus quartz, we can craft Fluix dust, and we craft chests. So let's say we want to craft a chest. Let's go and clear that guy out. So if we click on this, let's say we want to make 10 chests, and then we just hit next. And you'll see we have all the available items, nothing turned red. So we needed available 80 planks, and this will give us 10 chests. So now if we tell it to start and look up here, you can see it is crafting our chest. And once it's done, it gets rid of it. And if we go to our system now and go to craftable land storage, we have 10 chests. So very nice. So let's just talk about this guy a little bit so you understand it. Now we can also add things in here like speed upgrades, so that like if it's a complex thing like making storage disks, like if we wanted to, well, we can't do it in this, but if we want to like compress cobble and then double compress cobble and triple compress cobble, we can actually set it up. The one thing to note here is with this guy, technically it can only do one thing at a time because we only have one processing unit. So we can't actually really take advantage of having 3 of these guys up and running. But what I wanted to show you is, let's keep those over there. We don't need that, what I wanted to show you is setting up a little bit more complex system here. So let's grab that. We'll just grab the smart cable. And we're going to come over here to one of our guys. Oh, we'll probably need the pattern terminal too. I didn't grab that. So if we come over here and let's see, I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm going to make a bar come out like right just so we can put this stuff on. And then I want to get rid of this one, it's too high. So here we have our little bar. Actually, I think I want to do it this way, just to make it a little easier to see what we're doing. So we're going to put one here, and then go 1, 2, 3 on that side, and 1, 2, 3 on that side. I think that's good. So what we're going to do is first we're going to throw down our little crafting storage, right? And what you'll notice is it turns into this little plus thing, right? Just like that. This means it is ready to go. Now, if we tried to, make it look weird like this, it's going to actually error out and we'll get this ugly, default icon. But when it turns into this plus, that means we did it, we're all legit. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to take our coprocessor and we can actually throw that like here, or we could put it here, but we can't have it. It has to be a full block type thing. We're going to do it right there for right now. And we're going to put one of those on each. So we have our crafting storage, we have our coprocessor, and the last thing we need here would be our crafting monitor. And this is what actually keeps track of what we're doing and stuff. So here you can see we have 3 of these guys. Now these things are pretty darn expensive to make, and then we're going to throw our molecular assemblers on top. And this will make it so we can actually do 3 processes at once. Then we're going to do an ME interface, ME interface, ME interface. And then the nice thing is our cable, we don't actually have to plug into this. It'll actually go directly into our processor, or it could go into any of these blocks. If we went here, you'd see it can connect to that one. If we went to here, well, that's going to be kind of tricky because it's going to connect to that one every time. But we could go here and connect to, say, that one. As you can see, this will work either way. Using the least amount of resources definitely is that guy right there. So there we go. We have our guys right there. Let's go ahead. I forgot to grab the crafting terminal. The pattern one. And once again, we can't hook this directly on here. It turns backwards. But because this is all hooked into our system, we could actually just take, and of course I lost my cable because I grabbed something else. Let's go ahead and grab that. We'd actually plug that in right there, and we should be able to still see our terminal. Now, of course, this one doesn't have anything. So I wonder, could I clone an entire drive? Let's check. So we clone this guy. It doesn't have the drive in it, I can see already. So grab that maybe. We'll keep that one there. So if we take this drive and let's just shove it right there and then shove in our 2 drives, I think we have some resources now. Not a lot, but we have a couple. Where on earth are you storing? Now here's the fun part, finding where it's storing everything. That's got 2 things, so we'll take one of those. That's got 2 things. Yeah, it's trying to load balance, it looks like, to there. Unless these are all the same. Oh, actually, maybe I put all these drives in. I can't remember. Where's our disk drive? So go boom, 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 boom. Let's see if that gave us anything we need. No, we're just duplicating that. All right, so let's do this then. Let's go ahead and go in here, and we want, for example, we want our flux. Oh, actually, I already have that. And we want our gold. I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Actually, I don't think we need the gold. So basically, this is a kind of working system right now, other than we don't have our patterns. So like if we stuck that in there, that in there, and that in there. Let's just say we wanted to set this up to actually... Oh, whoops, I didn't do this right, did I? I broke that one, and that got rid of our ME interface. So boom right there, and then boom right there. I don't know why when you break it, it thinks that. One other thing. Holy cow, we're at 35 minutes. Yes, actually, this is the one I wanted. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do this part, and then I think we'll be good. So let's go ahead and do this, and we're gonna go ahead and put in our recipes. And let's say we want to, what would be a good recipe type thing here? I mean, you've seen it work. Let's just say we want to make iron blocks, right? And we can just duplicate this a couple times. So let's say we wanted to make an iron block, like a show. And let's go and make that, oops, craft that recipe. There's iron block. So now that we have this system all up and running, we can put that in there. And this will go really quick because we don't need it. Oh, we have to take out all of this. Or no. Wait, did I do? Oh, this might actually have to connect to the main input, I think. I think I forgot that. So if we came here, maybe, let's just do it this way, just to make sure we're safe. And then we put it right here. And of course, I don't have the pattern terminal anymore. Yeah, we don't want the pattern terminal just to connect to that. We want it to connect to the system. So now we have the craft right there because it's actually able to contact everything. So if we click on this guy and we say, okay, I need, I don't know, can we make 100? Let's check. No. See, in order to make 100, we only have 344. We need 556. So we don't want that. So maybe we could do, well, let's do 70 then. No, we can't even do 70. We have 344. I'm missing 286. Oh, wait, did we take? No. Okay, let's do this a couple more times. Now we should be able to. So if we come in here, craft, let's just do, say, 50 blocks. That should work. So as you can see, everything is hunky-dory. We can do it, and boom, we can do it. And because this is the one where we're telling it to do it in, it's going to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, if we come in here, we're getting them fairly quickly. Now, if it was a complex recipe that used other recipes, we can actually teach it. You know, like if we needed to make a piston, we could teach it how to make a lever in this one, and then have it make the piston in this one or something. And it would automatically say, oh, I need a lever. And it would push to this one and say, make me a lever, and then it'd get the lever, and it'd actually do it. So for however many components you have in your crafting recipe, you can have these guys all chained up. And then what I would want to do is like have here would be the lever one, in there would be the piston one, and it would be able to do it. Now you can connect this up to various, many things, basically anything that has an input and an output. So like you could hook it to any of our machines over here, to these guys. I believe like you could have the output going to the chest and the input. I think you could actually have it going to that. I'm not sure. But all these other things, anything that takes inputs and outputs where you can hook up pipes and stuff, you can basically use your ME system with this auto crafting setup. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. We've gone really long. This has been 40 minutes. And what I'm going to do is, this will probably be kind of a back-to-back episode because we're in creative mode right here. But we're actually going to kind of start crafting this stuff up in our actual world. So I just wanted to see if I could maybe make this make a little sense, or maybe I confused you even more. If so, just let me know in the comments below, and I will try and clarify as needed. Oops. But I think we covered the basics. I mean, there's even more you can get into this thing. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe Follow me on Twitter, check out my Discord and my other channels, and don't forget about my great big game giveaway. When I hit 1,000 subs, we're giving away 57 Steam games. And then also, there's a smaller one. When I hit 500 subs, which I'm getting closer and closer to every day, we'll be giving away one Steam game, $60 value to one lucky sub. And that is it. So until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.